Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And can I begin by acknowledging and congratulating the Honourable Member for East Renfrewshire on that heartfelt speech. I thought it was very gracious of you as well to say that you're not in the most beautiful of the constituencies. I think you're at least in the top 600 and possibly high after one or two whiskies. And can I also congratulate the member for Glasgow North on his maiden speech as well. I think the points he makes about engaging with the public and making sure that we restore trust in this place is really, really important. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm not going to speak about Scotland in my maiden speech. I'm going to start by talking about where I came from. And with my parents in the gallery, and I promise to stay grounded, that's the place I want to start. I grew up on a council estate as the eldest of 3 boys. My dad worked long hours as a scaffolder, and my mum worked 2 jobs, one in Burton's by day and one as a cleaner at night. And things weren't always easy. At times got so tough at one point that as a young teenager, I moved into the care of my grandparents. And I found out in recent years that this is called kinship care. It's a pretty formal sounding name, but it's basically where family agree to take on family. I'm very grateful for my nan and pops for helping me back onto the right path, and I know that they would have been very proud of me if they had got to see this day. Of course, it wasn't just family that got me here. I had encouraging teachers, supportive friends, guiding therapists, a campaigning wife, and a totally unreasonable bunch of people called activists who volunteer a silly amount of time to the cause. To all those that have been involved in my messy pathway to now, and especially to the people of Carshalton and Wallington who have put their faith in me, thank you. I am utterly humbled to be here, and I don't take this responsibility lightly. Madam Deputy Speaker, I did plan on describing my constituency of Carshalton and Wallington as a hidden gem. But since I started in this place a few weeks ago, I keep bumping into staff that live there. So clearly it's a popular place. For those that don't know, Carshalton and Wallington is on the South London border with Surrey, or is in Surrey, depending on who you speak to. And I describe it as hidden because despite being a London borough, you won't find us on the tube map. There are no London Underground or London Overground services in our borough, and this is an issue that I will return to at a later date. But it is a gem. I'm not going to say it's the most beautiful, but it is pretty beautiful. It has beautiful ponds, it has many award-winning parks, we have the historic River Wandle, and so many good pubs, it's really difficult to avoid them at the weekend. I would like to take this moment to recognise my predecessor, Elliot Coburn. This House will remember when he bravely spoke out about his own struggles with mental health. I have great respect for his willingness and openness to share his story, and I am certain that his bravery will give courage to others to speak up and seek help too. Yeah. I would also like to put on the record my recognition for another predecessor, Tom Brake. He served my community of Carshalton and Wallington for over 22 years. He is a true local champion. He is still spoken about so fondly on the doorstep. And this House will probably be aware of his tireless campaigning for St Helier Hospital, and I plan to take up this issue at a later date too. Madam Deputy Speaker, there is much more I would like to share about my constituency over time. Unlike the member for East Renfrewshire, I won't take up that time now because I'm keen to get involved in the debate today as well. I want to start by joining my honourable friend, the member for Richmond Park, in welcoming the thrust of the government's proposals in giving more powers to the Office for Budget Responsibility to scrutinise major fiscal announcements. The inappropriately named mini-budget sent shockwaves across the country. Mortgages soaring, pensions on the brink of collapse, and market confidence damaged so badly that I feel we'll be dealing with the trust issues caused by that disruption for quite some time. Yet the state of our country's finances is not just down to one fiscal event. The populism that infected everything that the last government did was laid bare by the Chancellor yesterday. And I am so angry about the mess that's been left behind. It is always the most vulnerable that suffer the most when the government gets things so drastically wrong. And we must never let such reckless gambles be taken with our country's finances ever again. Now, while I'm optimistic that the fiscal lock will provide the public and markets some reassurance on this, I do hope that the government does not feel locked into one particular model of fiscal management. The key lesson to take from disastrous mini-budget should be not that there's only one way to run the economy, but that whatever choices the government makes, they should be informed by good information and stand up to rigorous analysis. It will be my intention from these benches to encourage the government to take seriously the calls from many respected economists to ensure that fiscal responsibility goes hand in hand with maximising the growth potential of the country over the long term. This is particularly relevant to major capital investments, like the rebuilding of St Helier Hospital in my constituency. Our local NHS trust faces huge costs every year trying to maintain an unfit building. We must not forget that there is a cost to not investing too. And when talking about growth, let us remember that it not only has a rate, but a direction. And this necessarily involves political choices and cannot be left to expert analysis alone. While the OBR can rightly describe what actions will increase growth and by how much, we in this House still have a crucial role to play in selecting what actions will meet all of society's goals. And a purpose-driven industrial strategy, as proposed by the Liberal Democrats, will ensure we deliver the right sort of growth, not least in relation to green industries. The Chancellor is also right to reiterate that the government should not commit to any unfunded spending pledges. But there are many ways to fund the investment in our public services that we so desperately need. And you don't have to increase tax on ordinary workers to do so. If the Chancellor is stuck for ideas, then I would invite her to have a read of the Liberal Democrat manifesto, which includes ideas such as raising capital gains tax and reversing the Tories' cuts for banks. There are fairer ways of raising the revenue we need, and we should look at them seriously. And it's at this point that I turn back up to the gallery, and I have some regret that my maiden speech was on the intricacies of fiscal responsibility. So if you'd indulge me for a moment, before I close, I'd like to make a brief translation by putting my points into footballing terms. Dad, this is mainly for you. The former manager played six up front and got hammered. But that doesn't mean that the new manager has to revert to a defensive five at the back. There are many different styles of play out there, and I think some of them will have bigger rewards. So let's get the balance right and get our country winning again. Thank you.